had a weird realization the other day, and I think if you follow me throughout the course of this video, you might end up agreeing with me. I don't think I'm talking just pure nonsense. I'm speaking based on my own experience, plus what I can gather online, plus what I can gather from people in person. So that realization was that the UK's Bangladeshi community, British Bangladeshis, specifically within the Sylheti community, are basically this country's equivalent of Italian Americans. So just a short background about myself. My name's Shafai. Both of my parents are Bangladeshi immigrants. They came to the UK in the late 80s, early 90s. I was born in the UK and I've lived here my whole life, as have all my siblings. And I'm speaking about this because I feel like it is a kind of important topic to address. And hopefully I can explain why later on. So why did I draw this comparison? Well, firstly, if I can just give a very, very brief overview, summarization of Italian immigration to the US. I haven't done any research as I'm filming this. I'm just speaking off of what I know, which may or may not be correct, so please do correct me in the comments if I am wrong about this. So from my understanding, in the late 1800s towards the beginning of the 1900s, there was a huge influx of Italians moving from Italy to the US for whatever reason, and they faced a lot of prejudice, a lot of racism from the other pure white communities, if you want to call it that. So did the Irish community, and because of that, they basically banded together and found safety within their own communities, which is why wherever you go across America, you'll find little Italies here and there, and I believe the largest concentration of that will be in New York. I'm pretty sure I'm correct on that one. If we just pivot from that and come to the history of Bangladeshis in the UK, so specifically after World War II, the country was in ruins, obviously because of the war, and they needed help rebuilding the country. So because Britain still had an empire at the time, they called on their former colonies, or now former colonies, to come and help rebuild the country with the promise of pursuing a better life. So there was a huge influx of people specifically from the Caribbean and also a lot of South Asians to come and help rebuild the country. And they also, similar to Italian Americans, faced a lot of racism from people in the UK, so they formed their own communities. And a notable example of that is the murder of Altab Ali. So that was a very, very brief rundown of how both communities came to both countries. Just to preface this, I've never actually set foot in the US, maybe one day inshallah, but from what I can gather online, when you think of the typical Italian American, you don't imagine necessarily somebody who speaks Italian or somebody who spent a lot of time in Italy. You maybe think of just somebody who lives in New York, you know, the stereotypical kind of image that comes up. Whenever you say Italian American, that kind of image probably pops up, right? Somebody who doesn't necessarily speak Italian, hasn't necessarily spent a lot of time in Italy, but they have Italian ancestry and they've been in the UK for, they've been in the US for generations at this point. And they will proudly tell you that they are Italian or Italian American.
Where's the cheese?
It's under the sauce.
There's no cheese on it.
It's under the sauce.
Like, I'm Italian and this is hurting me.
It's from Chicago.
Last night, we ordered a pizza pie.
There was 8 slices.
Okay.
Amongst us two.
So just so you get the visual, I'm sitting here.
Give your honest opinion.
Here.
You're right in front of your 4 slices.
Right, okay.
Okay, so I ate this corner. I ate that one first. He ate this corner.
And Bangladeshis haven't been in the UK necessarily for as long, but I think similar kind of patterns are starting to arise or have arisen, which is why I kind of made this connection between them and us. I was born in the UK, I've lived here my whole life. I've only been to Bangladesh a whopping total of 2 times in my life, and the last one was 13 years ago, if you can believe that. Well, I mean, I don't know why that's hard to believe, but anyway, beside the point. I don't speak my language entirely well, so a lot of the time people struggle to understand me, or they'll just laugh at me if I get a word wrong, for example. And I feel like, again, from what I can gather online and from what I can see in person, that is a worryingly kind of common thing, especially among my generation.
Zanni 2 years ago, lahan everything oibo lahan colorful, lahan color ase. But ehon lahan ze gray, no color, kuchu nai lahan.
I do remember a couple of years ago, there was this one infamous example on TikTok where a girl was trying to speak Bengali, I mean specifically Sylheti, and I could understand what she was trying to say, but she basically got every single word wrong.
What she's saying in the comments.
So, what she was trying to say, I think, was a man has come, I don't know who he is. The proper way to say what she was intending to say was beta aise ami sinchina. I'm pretty sure that's what she was trying to say. I if anybody thinks I'm wrong, please do correct me in the comments, but basically every word she got was wrong. So the reason why I think this is specifically a problem within the Sylheti community is because I don't see the same thing happening within the Dakhai community. So my best friend is Dakhai, and he came to this country when he was very young, but he and his brother are both entirely fluent in Bangla, Dakhai. And I feel like that is a very, very common thing, specifically among Dakhai families, where no matter whether they were born in the UK or came to the UK at a later stage in their life, a lot of them will be entirely fluent in Dakhai, no matter how many children they have, no matter how long they've been here, what have you. So I'm just wondering why specifically it is a problem with Sylhetis. I think I have a couple of ideas to explain it. Number one is because the official language of Bangladesh is Bangla, meaning Dakhai. So that is the only official language for some weird reason. And it's kind of ironic because Bangladesh was founded specifically because people weren't allowed to speak their own language, and that's why we have International Modern Language Day. It's because of the founding of Bangladesh. Anyway, compare that to people like me and my siblings and other people I've met in my life who are trying to learn Sylheti but are finding it incredibly difficult because of lack of resources online and in person. But if you compare that to wanting to learn Dakhai Bangla, you'll find a plethora of resources. Or because of just the feeling of being embarrassed, because you'll try to communicate with, for example, a family member or another community member, you'll say a word wrong, you'll say the wrong word, you'll pronounce the word incorrectly, everybody starts laughing at you, you just feel embarrassed, so as a result you just don't end up trying. And that was the case historically for my entire life, pretty much. So bringing it back to the main topic, I feel like the UK Sylheti community is kind of headed in the same direction as the Italian American community, in the sense that a lot of us don't know the language or are struggling to learn it or just don't speak it at all, and also because a lot of us either haven't been to Bangladesh or the times we have been were very few and far between. So I feel like unless there is this huge concerted effort, specifically from people within my generation of the Sylheti community who don't make an effort to learn the language at the very minimum, if we're not going to go visit Bangladesh from time to time, unless we do that, then we'll just end up having our own language die out within this community, which is quite a sad thing when you think about it. So that's basically it. I don't know if there is a solution. I'm genuinely hoping there is, but I don't know how we'd go about fixing it or stopping it or reversing course or whatever you want to call it. But I'd love to hear your thoughts if you agree or disagree, and I'd love to also know if there's any similar stories about any other immigrant communities in any other countries. Please do let me know. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.